Ebola on people living with HIV and AIDS. Specialists in the field say it's too early to tell if there should be any concern about the relationship between the two. This was addressed at the HIV Research for Prevention 2014 conference currently taking place in Cape Town this week. Our reporter Abra Barbier has more on the conference and now joins us for an update. Abra, a very good afternoon to you. Can you please tell us what is the conference all about?
Good afternoon, Alicia. The HIV Research for Prevention conference has basically been described as the first global scientific conference dedicated to discussing biomedical HIV prevention. It's a week-long meeting, and there are more than 1,000 researchers, private sector leaders, advocates for the cause, policymakers and public health experts who are gathering. They say that this meeting is different to other HIV conferences in the sense that it looks at a combination of approaches to turning the numbers around. Now, more than 55 new research studies will be presented over the next few days, and topics on the agenda are new and longer-lasting prevention options, latest discoveries, research into female-controlled prevention methods, and behavioral science. And this is actually something which our Science and Technology Minister, Lady Pandor, made a point of raising, and that is looking at the behavior of people and looking at how we can get the message across to young folk, because they don't seem to be getting the message when it comes to prevention.
Very interesting, Abra. Now, with the world in the throes of the Ebola panic, did this topic come up?
It did come up in the opening ceremony this morning, as can be expected, I suppose. I mean, with a room full of researchers and doctors and, people in this field, and I'm sure that it's not a shock that it came up. One of the meeting facilitators, who is a professor in the field of HIV study at Wits, she raised an important point, and that is how Africa was basically left to its own devices to figure its way through the epidemic at the beginning, and that Guinea and Sierra Leone and Liberia are three very poor countries, so they need all the help that they can get. But she said that the international attention was only sparked when there was threats of the virus jumping borders. And our own Minister Pandor, said that South Africa needs to step up its role and play its part, and that it must start looking at ways to get involved in terms of research. One expert in the field did say that at this stage there's no link between Ebola and HIV, but he also did admit that research on this relationship is very limited. Alicia?
All right, Abra, before I let you go, I know you mentioned that Naledi Pandor was there, but did she discuss the strides made by South Africa in combating HIV?
Of course, she was very proud in terms of how far South Africa has come. She said that we currently have 2.4 million people on treatment, and that we've made great strides in reducing mother-to-child infections. She said compared to 30 years ago, when we had very little to be hopeful about, we now have a lot to be optimistic about as the overall situation has changed. She says the ultimate goal is for us to achieve a 0% new infection rate, but she did emphasize that our main challenge is that we are many, many years away from eliminating HIV as an epidemic in the country. Alicia.
Thank you so much. That's SABC reporter Abra Barbier live to us from Cape Town at the HIV Research for Prevention 2014 conference. While I'm standing by with the latest weather.